Hello everyone, welcome to this morning's Vision 6 Power Session. A hot lead is the best lead. In this session, we'll be making sure you keep on top of any of your incoming leads, just to make sure you action those quickly. And through that, we'll be using the notification process in Vision 6. So before we get started, here are some lead nurturing and lead management ideas that you can implement with Vision 6. You can use gated content on your website, for example, forms, and then send out ebooks or resources and other content to your list subscribers. An example there might be you have some special protected content on your website, maybe an ebook or a guide or something the user can download, and you'd like to protect that or gate it using a Vision 6 form. When your contact then fills in the form and subscribes to your list, you can have an automation in Vision 6 then send them that piece of content they were after, the ebook, the resource, and so on. So a good little idea that you can implement there if you wish to. You can also monitor contact clicks and engagement, of course, through the reporting, and you can have automations based on what users are doing as well, and to automatically nurture your prospects too. So you could send out a series of emails over time at a set cadence within Vision 6, and that can be done with all of the different types of automations available within the platform. And furthermore, based on the nurturing idea there, you can also lead score your prospects or anyone in your list really based on their engagements and interactions. So a good example there might be within this lead nurture you might have set up here for prospects. You can monitor what the users are doing within that email series. And if, for example, they click the pricing link or some other link within your email that you deem to be a fairly important action, you could then have something trigger based on that action. So it could be notifying a salesperson or something like that, which is what we're doing today with lead notifications. Or it could even be to adjust the lead score of the contact. For example, they click on the pricing link in the email, increase their lead score by 5. You could then have an automation set up to listen out for a lead score increase that says, if a lead score jumps above 10, let's flag that and notify someone internally or send an email or something like that. So some good little ideas there. You can, of course, also connect Vision 6 with Google Analytics to track goals and goal completions. A good example of that might be that when someone in the platform is sort of converting through from an email and performing an action on your website, you can then track the action on the website and then even trace it right back to which particular email caused a Google Analytics goal to be completed, as an example. And of course, that last one there, I did use this example in some of the above there, is to notify someone on the internal team, for example, a staff member, when a new lead comes in. It doesn't necessarily have to be a new lead, though. It could be whenever someone fills out a form, essentially. In most cases, that might be a lead, but it could be someone completing a survey or someone downloading an ebook or something like that. Whenever that occurs, let's notify someone internally that that has happened. And that is what we're going to cover in today's session. So a little quick question, because there's two different ways we can do this. One is more advanced and allows for filtering, and one does not. And the question there is, do you have access to our advanced automations? So our advanced automations module is only available on some of our plans. So just check on the automation section on the left of your Vision 6 to see if you've got the advanced one. We'll be going through this shortly anyway in product, so you can have a look through there. But essentially, if you don't have our advanced automations, then the option or the way that we can still perform this function of notifying someone is through list notifications. If you do have our advanced automations, then you've got the added benefit there of being able to filter that. So it doesn't apply to everyone, it just applies to certain contacts. But let's get started with the first one. This applies to anyone who uses Vision 6. Let's look at how to enable list notifications for the subscribe event. In other words, someone is joining our list or filling out a form. We want to be notified about that. Let's see how to set that up. So I'm in Vision 6 now. I'm on the lists and forms area here on the left-hand side, and I'm going to jump into my customers list and look at the forms for this list by double-clicking on it. And here we are in the forms view. I've just got a simple subscription form here that asks for a couple of different pieces of information. And if we want to receive a notification anytime someone fills in this form, or it could be any of the different forms we have, but let's look at this one here. We go to the Details tab and then go to Notifications, or rather the Details section and then the Notifications tab. What we can then do is put in our email address or anyone's email address on the staff, for example. You can even use multiple email addresses by separating them with a comma, and we can pop our email address in here. So let's go, for example, sales team at XYZ donuts, something like that. So what will happen now is once we save this, anytime someone fills in this form, we'll receive a notification at that email address showing us the information that was completed. So that's another great way to be notified when something occurs or when someone fills in our list or a survey or something like that. The other option we have, though, is an advanced automation that's possible to set up within the platform. And this allows us to do some filtering. So as you can see by the heading there, it doesn't just notify staff when all prospects fill out the form, it's when some prospects fill out the form. And there's a couple of little steps involved here because we've got that filtering option. So we need to have a few different components set up here. So the first step is to create and edit your form. So as you might remember, I'm going to use this form here for this example as well. So I've already got the form here that I'm monitoring. It has a first name, email address field. And here we have a field that asks the user, how much do you think you'll spend on catering each month with us? And if I click on that, we can see we've got some options in the drop down here, some different values that the user can choose from when they fill out this inquiry form. And what we can do is in a moment when I set up the automation, we'll say, okay, only notify our staff or only notify the sales team if they choose a catering option greater than $1,000 because that's a good spend for us at our XYZ Donuts company. And we would like to get perhaps a sales team member to get in touch with this contact to maybe offer them our special discounted pricing or something like that, or our special rates. So if they choose one of these higher values, that's when the automation will occur. So that's the filtering step we're going to build in shortly. So that's step one done. We've created our form. Step two, we now need to create a list of our relevant staff email addresses in Vision 6. Now, if you already have a list for your staff, that's okay. You don't need to make a new one just for this. I guess as long as you have a list somewhere in Vision 6 with your staff email addresses on it. It doesn't have to be all staff, by the way. It just has to be the staff that you want to notify as part of this automation. It can even be a group email address if you want to. So if I jump back into lists and forms here, I'll quickly show you my staff list over here, view contacts, and I've just got three of our different staff members there on our staff list. So in a moment when we set up the automation, I'll be picking some contacts from this list. So that's step two there. Make sure you have your staff or the people that you want to send your notification to somewhere in Vision 6 on the list. Step three, create your lead notification email. So with the other example where this one here, where we notify someone anytime anyone joins our list, Vision 6 has an automated system email that it sends as part of that. So there's no email we need to make for it. It's a system one that's sort of hidden in the background of the platform. But for this one here, we want to build, or we need to build a special email that we send out. And I've just called it a lead notification email. So here in the messages section, you'll see I've got one here. It's called internal lead notification for catering. And the subject is new lead to call. And the subject can be anything we like, really. It's just to let our sales team know that they need to action this. So let's have a look at what this message looks like. Fairly standard email message set with our branding here. We've got our logo at the top. We've got a nice banner there that lets them know that this is a lead notification. And we've just got some text and preset text there to let our sales team know a new lead has been received from our website. Please action when able to do so. And there's the information that the contact entered into the form with a sign off at the bottom there. So pretty standard email. And I've used wildcards here to automatically populate the first name, email address, and the monthly spend. So basically that's the three form fields that were on our special form. I'll just open that up again for you. There we go, first name, email, and monthly spend. Now you might notice something a little bit different about this email, because if I just go over here for a moment and insert the wildcard for the monthly spend, so I'll just pick our list and grab the monthly spend wildcard and insert that, you'll see it comes through like this. But all of ours up here have campaign underscore at the start. Why have I done that? Why is that slightly different? Well, the reason is because the way Vision 6 works is when it sends an email, it looks at who's getting the email and then fills in the information. So if this email was going to someone on your sales team, this would actually, in a default state, put the sales team member's first name there. It would put the sales team member's email address there. But in this case, that's not what we want. We want to put in the email address and first name of the person who filled out the form as part of our campaign. So that's why we've just added this little campaign underscore at the front there. So I could even just do that here, campaign underscore. As long as this is at the front of any of the wildcards you put in your email, Vision 6 knows, okay, that's in relation to the data that I'm sending. It's not in relation to the salesperson who's getting this email. So just a little thing to think about there. Once you've done a few of these, it sort of becomes second nature and is a little bit more clear. You'll see here also in our Help Center, we have an automation example on exactly this, how to create an internal notification that walks you through all of the different steps and processes that we're setting up today. And it too makes note of that little fact that you need to put campaign underscore at the start of your wildcard. So don't stress too much if you forget. We've got the information available there for you as well. So that's my email created. Again, I only need to do all these sort of things once as part of the setup process. And step 4 now is to actually build our automation and create the filtering of that. So let's just jump in quickly and build out our automation. So I'll go into Vision 6 again, into the automation section, choose Advanced Automation, and I'm going to make a new one. And we'll call this Internal Lead Notification, and it might be for the catering form on our website, for example. But you could give this any name that you like. And then we press New Step. And now let's start building out the steps for our workflow. And this is pretty easy. So if you've done an advanced automation before, you'll see it's sort of all stepped out for us nicely on the screen in different areas. So step 1, what are we monitoring? What does this automation need to look for? Well, it's when someone joins our list. And the first question is, which list? So I'm just going to pick the list that has this form on it, this one here. So it's my XYZ customers list. So I've just chosen that there, XYZ customers. Step 2, what's the trigger? When do we want this automation to kick into gear and start running? Well, it's when someone subscribes to this list here. Because remember, when they fill out a form, that's the subscribe event. There are different events you can choose from here as well, such as update profile. You would choose that particular trigger if you're sending this to an existing group of users or contacts on your Vision 6 and they're filling in a form, but they already exist. The subscribe event is for people who don't exist yet and they're joining your list for the first time. That's the subscribe event there. Now, you might remember that in our particular example, we only want this automation to kick in if the person on the form selects they're going to spend more than $1,000 a month on catering. So if I just continued down with this process, it would apply to everyone. I haven't set up the filtering. So what I need to do here in the filtering step is just add some filtering to this to say, okay, only run this automation if the monthly spend is one of those 3 values there. So I don't want to make this automation run at all if they're spending less than $1,000. We might just, automatically send them an email to say, hey, thank you for that. Here's our standard pricing. But if they choose one of these 3 options, the higher spend, we could then potentially send them a different email that says, hey, thank you for your catering request or becoming a catering partner with us. We'll send out or a sales team member will contact you with pricing shortly or something like that. But that's the filtering there. We just need to have that extra step in there to make sure that applies. Step 3, okay, great. So if someone meets the criteria so far, they're subscribing and they say they're spending more than $1,000 a month, what do we want Vision 6 to do? A couple of options here. You can send them a message. So if you wanted to, you could build a thank you email message as well that just says, thanks for filling in the form. This is what you entered, and someone will be in touch soon. So that's an option. But in this case, I'm not going to switch that on. I'm going to use this one to notify a contact. And this is where we pick staff members from the list to notify them that this event has occurred. You can, by the way, choose both though. So you can send the contact who filled in the form a message and notify someone internally with a different message. So an option to think about if you want it. But for now, we just want to notify someone with a particular message. So let's now choose the someone to notify. So we'll click Select Contacts, and I'm going to choose my staff list. So I've got a list here called XYZ staff. And I want to notify these 2 people. They might be on our sales team for the catering division. Zoe here, perhaps she might be on the sales team for our supplier division or our commercial division. And maybe just these 2 people I want to notify for our catering, for general small catering or something like that. So I'll tick those 2, press update, and they get added to the list. The final step here in this area is that I need to say which email message to send my staff members. And that's the one that I had open previously. So I believe it's in this folder. And here we go. It's called Internal Lead Notification Catering. And I can preview that too to make sure it's the right one. And yep, that is the right one there. Fantastic. Looking good. If I want to change a value on that contact's record to say that they've been flagged for calling or something, I could, but not something we're going to cover today. And then the timing. When do we want to send out this alert to our sales team? Well, I want to do that straight away because, again, a hot lead is the best lead. I don't want to sort of let them sit there for 3 days and not get back to them. And then, they might have gone with catering for catering with another company instead. So I want to make sure my sales team are on top of this. I want to send that notification immediately. That's all configured. I just need to remember now to come back into the automation area here and switch it on. So I come to the right-hand side and press activate. That's now showing as green instead of red. And now this automation will run. It's now switched on immediately. And if I were to go and fill in that form now and choose a value greater than $1,000, I would now get or a notification would now be sent to my sales team members that that lead has come through. So here's another example. That's the form we filled in. If the user chooses a particular value within the trigger limits, it will then send out that email as required. And there you go. That's how to create an automation which notifies internal staff of a particular event occurring, such as someone joining a list, profile being updated. It could even be someone unsubscribing. And again, you could add a filter there to say that if this is a key contact or a platinum member that we have, if they're unsubscribing, notify someone in the sales team, because again, that could be potentially an indicator that that customer is churning, particularly if they've unsubscribed from some important comms that you send out about your product or service. They're suddenly unsubscribed. That could be a bit of an issue that you might need to look into. And of course, by notifying the sales team, they can be aware of everything that's going on with your customers. I hope you've enjoyed today's session. My name is Andy. Have a great day. Thanks again.